Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Chelsea, hi, can you hear me? Jimmy's currently dealing with his dog, who is being very wriggly. So,
sorry, we're talking over each other.
It's okay. Jimmy's currently dealing with his new dog, who's very wriggly. So you've just got me for a minute, so you might end up having to repeat yourself when he comes back. But what would you like to ask about today?
Okay.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back. Okay, good timing. Go for it. Yeah.
First off, hey Dexter, how are you today?
Well, now he's
very wriggly.
That's why I wanted to say that. Do what, Jimmy?
Now he's in the other room.
Oh, anyway, let's get to what we were talking about. What I need to talk about, then I guess. Anyway, I wanted to talk about. I have a neighbor that I just met. I found out they have a dog as well. I'm just giving you the short rundown. Found out they have a dog. I have emotional support letter animal thing for my apartment, so I can get a dog. But I don't know where to start with that. So anyway, I'm just telling you how I met them. But anyway,
Okay.
when I went over there, they invited me in, and eventually I found out they sell essential oils and stuff. But I didn't get too deep into that. I did ask them what their religion was. They said Christianity. And I was just wondering, I'm getting to the bulk of it right now. How do I handle or go about continuing this friendship or neighbor or whatever, going about with this caution? I know I gotta be cautious because I don't want to. I forgot how the call screener put it. Help me out here.
You don't want to scare them off
the
again.
relationship.
If they're your neighbours, I can understand why you would want to not create a divide between you straight away. Is that the kind of thing you're worried about?
Yeah.
It says in the call screen now about straining your relationship.
Yeah. Well, so the question is, what kind of relationship do you want to have with that person? Is it something that you're wanting to be able to be friendly and spend a lot of time with each other? Do you just want to be cordial with the neighbor? Is like the goal of your relationship is going to affect how you communicate. But also, if you're making concessions only for yourself to maintain the choice-based sensitivities of others, that's not going to be a healthy relationship in the first place. It's not. If you're looking for a friendship should mean something, and it should exist as mutual respect, and that wouldn't be a mutually respectful setup.
Well, they haven't crossed me because they opened arms, they were very warm and kind. I just didn't want to be imposing my views and stuff onto them. I'm more that type person. I don't like doing that.
You can just kind of wait until if they want to talk about those things, then they might come up, and then you can just be honest and polite. They might say, "Oh, are you into essential oils? Or are you a Christian or whatever?" And you can just politely say, "Oh no."
Well, we've already talked about that.
They want to, okay. And what happened?
A little bit, just very shortly. I didn't get too deep into it because it was just a fresh relationship.
I'm just going to give you a very, very simple answer because this is the real answer, but it's a lot of ones that people aren't yet necessarily ready to do all the time. And the question is, if you actually want to make sure it doesn't go in the direction that you're worried it's going to go, then you have to take some level of control, because the biggest risk is staying quiet, which empowers people with terrible beliefs. Your quietness, they take as consent to continue to bombard you. So I would just have a conversation that starts with a phrase that has the word boundary in it, and just say, "Hey, I enjoy spending time with you. I would like to discuss boundaries because I don't want to worry about this getting hostile. I want you to know what you believe is what you believe, and as far as us being neighbors, couldn't affect me less. However, I don't want to have these in-depth discussions about, I don't want to be sitting here feeling like I'm on the defensive, that I have to prove to you that your beliefs aren't true, as far as who has to prove what to who to believe. Even people who go around and say, you changed my mind, that is a false, you can't. It's impossible. And people love to weaponize it because it feels like a victory when the person fails to do so. The only person who can change a person's mind is the person whose mind's being changed. Belief is not a choice. And as long as that is still true, there is no way around it. And so in a situation like you're in, where it's somebody you are compelled to be around often, or even just have to run into often, like I had a neighbor at the last place I lived who was very religious. We got along fine. He was kind of a little more on the progressive end of a lot of stuff, but at least as far as what we had dived into, I wouldn't call him a progressive Christian, just maybe a little more progressive than mainstream. And for the sake of, I don't want to complicate my home life, I kept everything very cordial. Every now and then we'd have short conversations about it, but we'd focus on the places where we agreed. And there were times where he started to push into areas that I knew we disagreed. And I was like, hey, man, for the sake of us keeping friendly, I'm not going to tell you what I think about those beliefs. And usually he would respect that. And so I would just recommend something along those lines. If you feel like there's a boundary that needs to be put up, there's a lot of things that as a society we just won't say what we're actually doing, where it's like, I see this a ton on YouTube, where it's like, if you directly ask people to watch your show or subscribe, a bunch of people get mad and they're like, no, I prefer my creators that try to trick me into doing it. And you're like, oh, sorry, I treated you with a little bit more intellectual honesty and like you were a grown-up. My bad. I'll go back to treating. But we should be having conversations like adults. If you need to have a conversation about boundaries, you say, we're adults. Let's have a conversation about boundaries.
Something I often do is, like, when the topic comes up, you know, if I'm at like a party or something and I'm meeting new people and they're nice and they could be friends and they bring up their beliefs or something, I usually say, like, by the way, if you want to have this conversation, I will have it, and I disagree with you and I'm very argumentative. So, but if you don't want to have this conversation, that's also fine. And it's kind of your choice. And I think that kind of, like, I guess that's a little bit of an intimidating answer, but it's like, I'm ready to go if you're ready to go. And if you're not ready to go, then we can just be friends. And often people are like, okay. And then, you know, they at least know that they're going to get a discussion, or they're not going to talk about it, and it's not going to be some conversion session.
With your neighbors, it's difficult, though, because a lot of people will say, yes, I'm ready to go, and they don't mean it. It's kind of like one of those things where it's almost the exact same as going, hey, I'm going to tell you something, but you have to promise not to be mad. And a person says, okay, but nobody can actually make that promise. It's not actually your choice whether or not you're going to be mad or not. And so it's kind of like that same thing where you're like, I'm ready to argue if you want to argue, but I want to just go back to being friendly neighbors after. And somebody says, okay. Meanwhile, even amongst atheists and other people like me, like leftists and whatever, and I have this interaction online at some point almost daily, even if it's a one-sided interaction that I don't join in myself, where a person is going, you said this and I disagree, therefore I am offended. People are so offended by the concept that you think they are wrong. And it's kind of, people should grow out of it quickly, but they don't.
They don't, yeah. I think it's just interesting comparing kind of from what I'm hearing about America compared to England. Like in England, it's kind of rare that someone would ever bring up their beliefs about anything. It's kind of a taboo thing to do, to bring particularly religious beliefs, but general beliefs. With neighbors, that's kind of unheard of. I don't think I couldn't guess the religion of anyone I've ever lived next to. Because people just don't bring it up, whereas it sounds like people love to talk about it there, which is intimidating. So I guess my perspective on this is I've only ever had that come up at parties when people are a few drinks in, and then I'm ready to go full dickhead mode if I need to. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Chelsea.
I like what you said, Jimmy. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
I appreciate you.
What helped out the most was what your point was, like during the middle of the conversation, or your point. Shoot, no, I lost my train of thought. But yes, I do get. I know where to go from here now, so I'm good.
Excellent.
I appreciate y'all's time and all that.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right, have a good one. Bye, Katie.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.